before, at the Amsterdam Games, Douglas Lowe of Great Britain made Olympic history when he became the first man to win the race twice. Lowe had previously won the 1924 Paris Olympic 800-meter gold medal. Now here in Los Angeles, Great Britain will try to continue their domination of this event. British runners had won the last three 800-meter gold medals, but early in the race, Phil Edwards of Canada leads. He stays in front throughout the race, followed by his teammate Alex Wilson and Great Britain's Tom Hampson. Coming off the final turn, the two Canadians are challenged by Tom Hampson of Great Britain on the outside. Tom Hampson, Great Britain first. Alex Wilson, Canada second. Phil Edwards, Canada third. For the fourth successive Olympiad, a British runner had won the 800-meter gold medal. More than 4,000 athletes from 59 countries pass in review. Two countries are noticeably absent, Germany and Japan. World War II is over but 3 years. It would be another 4 years, the 1952 Helsinki Games, before German and Japanese athletes would again compete. Many of the athletes who will compete in London are still in the armed forces. One of them is Sergeant Mal Whitfield of the United States Air Force. Whitfield is one of the co-favorites to win the 800-meter gold medal.
I was a favorite in 1948. Arthur Wint was also a favorite for the West Indies and the United Kingdom. He was a 195-pounder, 6'5" and an 11-foot stride. And of course, matching his stride against my 8-foot stride was quite a competition.
Arthur Wint, 28 years old, a pilot in the Royal Air Force during World War II. He continued his training whenever possible throughout the war. Many believe Wint is now too old and past his prime.
Well, I was hoping that if and when there was another Olympic Games, I might make it. But initially, it was the one thing I could do well, and I was determined wherever I was in the Air Force to take my running shoes along and take part in whatever competitions they were going.
The final of the 800 meters. Whitfield and Wint both easily qualify for the 9-man final. But 29-year-old Marcel Ansen of France has won both his qualifying and semi-final heats. Third.
Standing on the dais, receiving my gold medal, I couldn't help but shed a few tears because this was my childhood ambition. And of course, reflecting back on the 1936 Olympic Games and seeing Long John Woodruff win his 800 meters, I said to myself, I too have arrived as the Olympic champion of 1948.
Helsinki, 1952. 27-year-old Sergeant Mal Whitfield has been ranked number 1 in the world 3 out of the 4 years since the 1948 London Games. In 1951, the only year he was not ranked first, he flew 27 missions as a tail gunner in a bomber during the Korean War. 32-year-old Arthur Wint is now Dr. Arthur Wint. Though he had been plagued with injuries since the London Games, here in Helsinki, he again will try to beat Mal Whitfield in the 800 meters. July 22nd, 1952, the final of the 800 meters. Mal Whitfield and Arthur Wint again qualify easily, but only Heinz Olsheimer of West Germany has won both his qualifying heats. Arthur Wint immediately goes into the lead. Olsheimer of Germany falls in behind him. Whitfield is back in the pack. It is evident that Arthur Wint will try a different tactic against Whitfield here in Helsinki. He will make a fast pace to try to offset Whitfield's superior finishing kick. Down the backstretch, Wint leads, closely followed by Olsheimer. Wolfbrandt, Sweden, is third. Webster, Great Britain, fourth. And Whitfield on the outside is fifth. Into the turn for the first time, Wint leads. Holzheimer, Germany, second. Wolfbrand, Sweden, third. Webster, Great Britain, fourth. Whitfield, United States, fifth. The bell for the final lap. Wint leads, followed by Holzheimer. Whitfield is third. Wolfbrand, Sweden, is fourth. Webster, Great Britain, fifth. With 300 meters left, it is Wint, Holzheimer, and Whitfield. There are 200 meters left. Whitfield leads, followed by Wint. Holzheimer is third. Steinus of Germany and Nielsen of Denmark share fourth place. Down the stretch, it is Whitfield, Wint, and Holzheimer. Mal Whitfield first, Arthur Wint second, Heinz Holzheimer third. The time, 1:49.2, the exact same time in which Mal Whitfield won the race at the London Games 4 years before.
He is probably one of the most cold-blooded competitors I have met. On the track, no friends, not even a kind word. Doesn't want to talk to anybody. After the event, perfect friendship. But then if you're a competitor and you're a professional, that's the way it has to be.
Mal Whitfield becomes the second man in history to win the 800 meters in successive Olympiads. In all, Whitfield won 3 gold, 1 silver, and 1 bronze medal.
It's one of those situations where if an athlete beats you twice, you sort of begin to develop a complex. I'm not sure what's the reason for it, but irrespective of what time the race is running, I've never beaten him in an 800 meters.
Arthur Wint's Olympic career is now over. In his 2 Olympic appearances, he won gold medals in the 400 meters in London and is part of the Jamaican 4x400 relay team here in Helsinki. But in his 2 Olympic 800 meter performances, he had to settle for the silver medal behind Mal Whitfield. This is Tom Courtney of the United States. Today, he is the president of an investment counseling corporation. In 1956, as a member of the United States Army, he was rated among the finest quarter-mile and half-mile runners in the world. Melbourne, 1956, the opening day ceremonies of the Olympic Games. The 800 meters is predicted to be the most dramatic running event of the Games. The 4 men who have the best chance for a gold medal. Derek Johnson, Great Britain, Auden Boysen, Norway, Arnie Seoul, and Tom Courtney of the United States. Courtney is the only man to have won both his qualifying and semi-final heats. There are 8 starters. Tom Courtney is second from the right.
We got off, and I wanted to take the lead right away because I wanted to break clear of getting into trouble in the beginning. My dad used to have a philosophy. He said, if you're out in front all the way, there's no one's going to bump into you. And so I took the lead at the first turn, and sure enough, just as I felt he would, Seoul took right over.
With less than a lap to go in the race, Arnie Seoul, Courtney's teammate, leads. Auden Boysen, Norway, is third. Derek Johnson, Great Britain, fourth. Lon Spurrier, United States, fifth. Mike Farrell, Great Britain, sixth. Bill Butchert, Australia, seventh. Emile Lebar, Belgium, eighth. Down the backstretch the last time, Arnie Seoul still leads Courtney by Tom Courtney, United States, first. Derek Johnson, Great Britain, second. Auden Boysen, Norway, third.
I didn't know that I had won. We were right at the tape, and I asked Derek after the race who won, and he said, "You did." I knew I was about to pass out. I had run myself into a state of exhaustion in doing, in a sense, the double kick at the end. But what happened was that with about 140 meters to go, Arnie Seoul started his sprint. And I thought to myself, you know, Arnie is crazy. He's gonna tie up, and and I'm certainly not going to go with him. Then I thought, you know, here we are at the Olympics, and maybe you get super motivation. So with about 120 meters to go, I started my sprint. Sure enough, we went and took the lead, and I edged past Arnie just as he was starting to tie up. At that point, Derek Johnson came through on the inside and took the lead. I was tying up. I was basically finished, but I could remember in other races that there was more there if I would really force myself to do it.
Tom Courtney breaks Mal Whitfield's Olympic record by 1.5 seconds. Never before in an Olympic 800-meter run has a leader been passed in the last 50 meters, only to come on again to win the gold medal.
My mother and dad always felt that you had an obligation to do your best, whatever you did. I've always felt that that's been true, and that I had felt that, without a question, in the Olympic race, that I had given everything that I had.
August 25th, 1960, the opening day ceremonies of the Rome Olympic Games. More than 5,000 athletes from 85 nations pass in review. Marching with the team from Belgium, 30-year-old Roger Munz.
To win the gold medal 4 years earlier in Melbourne, but a few months before the Games, I was training on a dark, rainy day in Athens. My glasses fogged up, and I ran into a post supporting a tennis net and tore a muscle in my leg. Tom Courtney won the gold medal for the United States. Now, 5 years later in Rome, I was still the holder of the world record and the favorite to win.
Friday, September 2nd, the final of the 800 meters. There are 6 finalists. George Kerr, representing the West Indies, has won his 3 qualifying heats. He is expected to give Roger Munz his strongest opposition. After winning his first 2 heats, Roger Munz is defeated by Peter Snell of New Zealand in the semi-final.
I considered myself rather fortunate to be in the team because my time was something like 25th in the world that year in 800 meters. I was expected to perhaps make the final in the 800, but nothing more than that.
Peter Snell's victory in the semi-final did not upset me. I thought it was a fluke, and I did not consider Snell a threat in the final. The man I feared was George Kerr of the West Indies.
With 500 meters to go, Christian Wegley of Switzerland leads, Paul Schmidt, Germany second, Kerr third, Snell fourth, Munz fifth. The bell for the last lap. Wegley leads, followed by Schmidt. Kerr is third, Snell fourth, Munz fifth, and Manfred Matuszewski, Germany, last. Down the backstretch for the last time, Wegley leads. Snell in the all-black uniform is fourth. Roger Munz alongside Snell makes his move. Quickly, he goes into second place. Schmidt, Kerr, and Snell are right behind.
I said, I can't make this move now. I will just stay on the inside. There was a number of other runners that were all starting to spread out across the track, and I stayed this way right around the final curve. A gap opened, and then suddenly I saw Roger Munz out on the right-hand side of the track, and I thought, gee, I can perhaps win this.
Peter Snell first, Roger Munz second, George Kerr third. Snell breaks Tom Courtney's Olympic record by 1 4/10 seconds, but is still 6/10 of a second off the world record. Roger Munz still holds the world record, but here in Rome, his chances for an Olympic gold medal are over.
I took the lead from Wegley on the final turn. As I passed him, I closed my eyes and said to myself, I am the Olympic champion. I gave everything I had down the stretch. I looked to my right and did not see George Kerr, whom I feared. I closed my eyes again and said to myself, Roger, this time it is certain you're the Olympic champion. A black uniform flashed by me. It was Peter Snell.
Later, the victory platform ceremony takes place. Peter Snell stands on the top step, flanked by Roger Munz and George Kerr. For the first time in 24 years, a runner from New Zealand has won an Olympic gold medal. Tokyo, 1964. Peter Snell is named to carry the New Zealand flag in the opening day ceremonies. In the 4 years since the Rome Games, he has become the finest half-miler and miler in the world. Here in Tokyo, he will attempt to win both the 800 and 1500 meters, a feat that has been accomplished only 3 times before in Olympic history.
Prior to Tokyo, thoughts of retirement, of course, had entered my head, and I decided that for my last effort, the possibility of doing a double was very much to the forefront of my mind. I knew that given good preparation, that there was no one currently on the scene that would be capable of beating me, certainly at 1500 meters.
Peter Snell is correct. Coming off the final turn in the 800 meters, Snell again unleashes his tremendous finishing kick. Peter Snell first, Bill Crothers, Canada second, Wilson Kiprigat, Kenya third. Peter Snell breaks his own Olympic record by 1 2/10 seconds. A few days later, the final of the 1500 meters. The 2 New Zealanders, Peter Snell and John Davies, are in the all-black uniforms. The 2 men who will battle it out in the 1500 meters 4 years later in Mexico City are eliminated in the qualifying heats. Kip Keino of Kenya and Jim Ryan of the United States. With a little more than a lap to go, John Davies of New Zealand leads. Peter Snell is right behind him in second place. But now several runners in a tightly bunched field move alongside Snell. Snell is trapped on the inside.
When I realized that I couldn't get out of this box, it caused a little bit of panic that I could find myself out of it as a result of bad positioning. And I was determined not to let it happen, and so as an initial gesture, I put out my arm. I saw that it was John Wetton alongside me in his all-white English vest, and I felt that maybe I sort of gently nudged him just to give him an idea that more would come if he didn't move. He was the perfect gentleman and obligingly moved aside.
Snell is now clear and moves to the outside. Peter Snell, New Zealand first. Joseph Odlozil, Czechoslovakia second. John Davies, New Zealand third. Peter Snell's Olympic career is now over. 2 800-meter gold medals, 1 1500-meter gold medal. One of the great middle distance performances in Olympic history. This is Bethany College, West Virginia. This is Dave Wattle, the Bethany track coach. In the year 1970, Wattle finished second in the NCAA championship mile race, finishing behind Marty LaQuarrie, one of America's outstanding milers.
I was a sophomore in college, and I ran a 3:59 mile at the national meet. And I said, well, geez, I'm only 2 years away from the Olympic Games. You know, maybe I have a chance at fulfilling a big goal in my life, you know, and getting to the Olympic Games. It was a very hard time for me because I would get an injury, and I kept my positive thinking going, and then all of a sudden another injury would come and it would lay me back, and then another one. I had 3 back-to-back injuries, and the third one just about broke me, you know, and it got to the point where My father will never admit it, but I can remember him saying that, you know, that I should probably give it up and hang up my spikes and just stop running.
Munich, 1972, the opening day ceremonies of the Olympic Games. Marching with the United States team, 22-year-old Dave Wattle. Wattle won the 800-meter United States Olympic trials. Just before the United States team was to leave for Munich, Dave Wattle again had trouble with his leg.
I came down with tendonitis in my left knee, and it lasted for 3 weeks. Really downhearted, and I really believe now, looking back, that I would have probably turned around and gone home if my wife hadn't been there. I was just married like 2 weeks before I had left on the Olympic trip.
In his semi-final heat, Dave Wattle, wearing a baseball cap, is in danger of not making it to the finals. The runners who place first and second in each of the 3 semi-finals, as well as the 2 fastest non-placers, qualify. Coming off the final turn, Wattle is in 4th. Dave Wattle wins, but his time is by far the slowest of the 3 semi-final winners. The next day, the 800-meter final. The favorite in the race, Yevgeny Arzhanov of the Soviet Union, who is unbeaten in 3 years. Dave Wattle is in lane 3.
Well, I felt a little unsure, mainly because of my injury. I still went into the races a little unsure of my own capabilities. The names didn't scare me at all, because I've always just felt, hey, you're as good as anybody. Don't let them psych you out that Arzhanov's undefeated in 3 years, heavy favored, you know. And I would just discount that from my mind. All I ever really cared about was how I felt in the race.
The 2 trails in 8th place.
Oh, I felt so lousy. I went out so slow, and I had all these butterflies. I was so nervous. You know, I couldn't believe it. I hadn't been that nervous since like the state high school meet. You know, when I almost wanted just to walk off the track. I raised my arms because I felt that I had won the race, and mainly because when you cross a finish line, you can sense the other person there. And I sensed no one there, so I thought that I had won the race. I think I knew that what I'd done, but I didn't know if I had won. And I just stood there waiting, and no one talked to me, and I didn't talk to anybody. And it just seemed like eternity, and then it finally flashed up, you know. And it was a tremendous amount of relief.
Dave Wattle, United States 1st. Yevgeny Arzhanov, Soviet Union 2nd. Mike Boyd, Kenya 3rd.
I started my kick with about 180 meters out from the finish, my all-out kick, and for silver now. And then I really wasn't going after the gold, really driving for the gold or realizing that I could get it until about 3 meters to the finish line, because it was just so close with Arzhanov and myself and he really started to falter right near the end. He started what happened, he started his kick way too soon. And I think he sensed that I came up on his shoulders, and he tried to re-accelerate, and that's when he fell.
Dave Wattle has given Yevgeny Arzhanov of the Soviet Union his first loss in a final in 3 years. Both Wattle and Arzhanov are officially given the...
a citizen of the United States. I really was. I really felt that I achieved what I did, or one of the things that enabled me to achieve it was the fact that I was a citizen of this country. And I was just proud of the accomplishment. You know, I couldn't believe, it was the highest award you could possibly win in track and field. And, here I am, a little hick from Canton, Ohio, and a 420-miler in high school, and I was able to win the gold medal. It was just a very pleasing moment for me.
The victory platform ceremony takes place. Dave Wattle is flanked by Arzhanov and Boyd as the national anthem is played. In his excitement, Dave Wattle has forgotten to remove his hat.
You know, I'd run so many workouts in the hat, and I ran the race. I really didn't know it was on. It really hurt me, the fact that, you know, that I left my hat on, because I didn't mean any disrespect. It's such an emotional time. You're exhausted, you just ran a race, you're feeling really good, and then all of a sudden a bombshell hits you. And that's when it really hit me, you know, hey, geez, I don't believe I did that, you know.
Soon after the platform ceremony, Dave Wattle is greeted by his mother.
The thing I can remember here, her son had won a gold medal. And the first thing she told me, she reminded me why I didn't take my hat off. And she says, oh, that's so terrible that you didn't take your hat off on the victory stand. You know, she doesn't congratulate me for winning. You know, why didn't you take off your hat?
Dave Wattle of the United States, the 1972 winner of the Olympic 800-meter gold medal. Montreal, 1976. The nations of the world march in the opening day ceremonies of the 21st Olympiad of the modern era. Many of the African nations have boycotted the Games over political issues. Because of the boycott, Mike Boyd of Kenya, one of the pre-race favorites in the 800 meters, will not compete. With Boyd out of the competition, Rick Walhooter of the United States and Ivo van Dam of Belgium are now the favorites. After the heats and semifinals are completed, a third favorite emerges. He is Alberto Juantorena of Cuba. Before the Games, Juantorena was picked by most to win the gold medal in the 400 meters, which will be run 4 days after the 800 meters.
2 months before the Montreal Games, my coaches advised me to run the 800 meters in order to build up my strength to run the 400 meters. My times for the 800 meters were very fast, and so it was decided that I would run in both races.
Juantorena and Walhooter both win their qualifying and semifinal heats. Walhooter has run the fastest qualifying time, but Juantorena has turned in the second fastest time of the 8 finalists. The first part of the race will be run in staggered lanes. The 8 finalists line up. Rick Walhooter is in lane 3, third from the left. Ivo van Dam is fourth from the left, and Alberto Juantorena fifth from the left in lane 5. They will run in lanes until they come into the stretch for the completion of the first 400 meters. With 500 meters to go, Juantorena leads, followed by Walhooter. On the outside, Singh of India in the blue uniform moves in front of Juantorena on the turn and takes over first place. Juantorena second, Walhooter third. Just as quickly, Juantorena takes the lead back. Walhooter goes right after him, and Van Dam on the outside goes past Singh into third place. Down the backstretch, it is Juantorena, Walhooter, and Van Dam. Into the final turn. Walhooter moves up on Juantorena. Van Dam is third. Alberto Juantorena, Cuba, first. Ivo van Dam, Belgium, second. Rick Walhooter, United States, third. Alberto Juantorena sets a new world record and becomes the first runner from a non-English speaking country to win the Olympic 800-meter run. There is still another honor for Alberto Juantorena. It is the first time in Olympic history that a Cuban athlete has won a gold medal in track and field.
Winning the 800 meters brought me great satisfaction. I was happy to break the world record, but my greatest happiness was for my country. In Cuba, we do not run for ourselves. We run for all our countrymen who have made it possible for us to compete.
The day after his victory in the 800 meters, the heats and quarterfinals of the 400 meters are scheduled. In the morning qualifying round, Juantorena finishes third in his heat and moves into the quarterfinals the same afternoon. Juantorena finishes second in his quarterfinal heat. 2 days later in the semifinals, Juantorena wins his section, but Fred Newhouse of the United States wins his third successive race and is the fastest qualifier of the 8 finalists. 2 other United States runners make it to the final, Herman Fraser and Maxie Parks. The 8 men line up for the final. The men to watch: Juantorena in lane 2, second from the left, and the 2 Americans Herman Fraser and Fred Newhouse to Juantorena's right in lanes 3 and 4. They will run in lanes throughout the entire race. Because of the staggered lanes, it is difficult to see who is in front. But down the backstretch, Newhouse, second from the right, is running fastest of all. On the extreme right, Herman Fraser is second. Juantorena, just coming into the picture on the right, goes after Fraser and Newhouse. Herman Fraser, United States, third. Alberto Juantorena has performed a feat never before accomplished in Olympic history. He has won both the 800-meter and 400-meter gold medals. In winning the 400 meters, he has run the third fastest race in history, 40 hundredths of a second over the world record. He has also created a world record in the 800-meter run. Even more, in the history of the Olympic Games, Cuba has won 2 gold medals in track and field competition. And Alberto Juantorena has won them both.
At 5:50 Monday afternoon, August 6th, 8 men walked onto the field at the Los Angeles Coliseum for the final of the 800 meters. The favorite to win, 21-year-old Joachim Cruz of Brazil. He had easily won his 3 heats leading to the final. Also in the race, 2 legends from Great Britain, 27-year-old world record holders Sebastian Coe and 28-year-old Steve Ovett, the defending Olympic champion. Ovett defeated Coe 4 years earlier in Moscow to win his gold medal. Then, on the final turn, Ovett, in second place, made his move. Coe, in 4th place, had run a poor tactical race and found himself too far behind to catch his teammate. Now, 4 years later, here in Los Angeles, the physical condition of both British runners is questionable. Until 6 months before the Games, Coe was suffering with a rare lymph gland infection that threatened his career.
My problem started at the end of 1982. I was injured for most of that year. I got back a little bit during the winter, but never really felt 100%. And then went down in 83 with this glandular problem and feeling run down and tired much of the time. It was just a spiralling circle, ever downward. And I got to the end of 1983 and had a lot of treatment to get rid of the problem.
Since arriving in Los Angeles a few weeks before the Games, defending Olympic champion Steve Ovett has been plagued with severe respiratory problems. 1 day earlier, in the semi-final won by Joachim Cruz of Brazil, Ovett, exhausted, managed to lunge across the finish line to gain the 4th and last qualifying position for the final. British doctors have advised Ovett that running in the final would worsen his problem. Now, here in the final, Sebastian Coe becomes Britain's main hope, even though defending champion Steve Ovett will make the attempt to duplicate his Moscow victory of 4 years before. The outside runners, led by Joachim Cruz of Brazil in the all-blue uniform, break for the inside. Cruz is content to let Edwin Coetch of Kenya set the pace. Cruz stumbles, but quickly gets back in stride. Cruz first came into prominence 3 years earlier when he won the World Junior Championship 800 meters. As they move toward the end of the first lap, Coetch still leads. Cruz is outside of him in second place. Earl Jones of the United States is third, and Steve Ovett fourth. As they pass the 400-meter mark, the halfway point, Coetch of Kenya still leads, followed by Joachim Cruz second. Earl Jones of the United States and Sebastian Coe share third. Down the backstretch for the last time, it is Coetch of Kenya leading Joachim Cruz of Brazil. Sebastian Coe is third. In last place, Steve Ovett. With 200 meters left, Cruz in the all-blue uniform makes his move. Coe and Jones try to go with him. Joachim Cruz, Brazil, first. Sebastian Coe, Great Britain, second. Earl Jones, United States, third. In last place, defending Olympic champion Steve Ovett. Ovett is exhausted. His countryman Sebastian Coe consoles Steve Ovett, who won the gold medal 4 years earlier. For many years preceding the Los Angeles Games, it was reported that their relationship was unfriendly. Both men denied this. Said Ovett, "We are not the best of friends, nor are we enemies. Rather, we are rivals." Joachim Cruz of Brazil stands on the top step of the Olympic victory platform. With this victory goes an additional honor. He is the first athlete from Brazil, male or female, to ever win a running gold medal in the history of the Olympic Games. It is September 26, 1988, the final of the men's 800 meters at the Seoul Olympic Games. 25-year-old Joachim Cruz will defend his Olympic title. Cruz is not the only Olympic champion in the race. He is joined by Saïd Ouida of Morocco, who 4 years earlier in Los Angeles won the 5,000-meter gold medal. Behind Ouida, Paul Ereng, one of 2 Kenyans, to make it to the final. Saïd Ouida is not in perfect condition. A few days earlier, he pulled a hamstring and wears a bandage on his right leg. The start is staggered. The runners will move inside after the first turn. They will go twice around the 400-meter track. Down the backstretch for the first time, Nixon Kiprotich, the second Kenyan in the final, takes the lead, followed by José Luis Barbosa of Brazil. His teammate, defending champion Joachim Cruz, is third, followed by Johnny Gray of the United States. Peter Elliott of Great Britain is fifth. Saïd Ouida is back in the pack. Coming out of the turn, Barbosa of Brazil goes past Kiprotich with Cruz behind in third place. Elliott of Great Britain is fourth. Ouida has moved to sixth behind Johnny Gray. With 1 lap to go, it is still Barbosa, Brazil. Kiprotich, Kenya second. Cruz, Brazil third. Elliott, Great Britain fourth. Down the backstretch for the last time, it's still Barbosa, Kiprotich, Cruz, and Elliott. Now Kiprotich and Cruz go past the tiring Barbosa. Elliott and Ouida make their moves, followed by Paul Ereng of Kenya in the white shirt and red pants. Ereng tries to find room on the inside. Ereng, Kenya first. Joaquin Cruz, Brazil second. Saeed Oida, Morocco third. Peter Elliott, Great Britain fourth. Paul Ereng, who finished third in the Kenyan Olympic trials to just make the team, has created Olympic history. The first Kenyan to ever win the Olympic 800-meter gold medal.
It is August 5th, 1992, the final of the men's 800 meters. After the qualifying and semifinal races, there are 8 men left. 3 of them were finalists 4 years earlier in Seoul, but did not win a medal. 32-year-old Johnny Gray of the United States, Jose Luis Barbosa of Brazil, and Nixon Kiprotich of Kenya. Though Gray won both his previous heats, he is not the favorite. Many predict that the winner will be William Tanui of Kenya, who also won his 2 preliminary heats. The other men in the race, Andrea Benvenuti of Italy, Curtis Robb of Great Britain, Reda Abdanous of Algeria, and Mark Everett of the United States. Everett won the bronze medal 1 year earlier at the Tokyo World Championships. The race gets underway. They will stay in their lanes till the first turn. As they move down the back stretch for the first time, Johnny Gray of the United States takes the lead. Right behind him, Barbosa of Brazil. In third place, William Tanui of Kenya. Johnny Gray's strategy is now apparent. He will try to win the race from the front with a punishing early pace to offset the finishing kick of others. The 3 leaders maintain their positions for the first half of the race. Now, with a lap to go, it is still the same 3 men in the lead. Johnny Gray in first, Barbosa second, Tanui third, and his teammate Kiprotich in fourth. On the final turn, Kiprotich makes his move on the outside, passing Barbosa, and is running stride for stride with Johnny Gray. Into the home stretch, Kiprotich moves past Johnny Gray into the lead. Tanui goes to the outside. William Tanui, Kenya first, Nelson Kiprotich, Kenya second, Johnny Gray, United States third. The replay shows how close the finish was. Tanui defeats Kiprotich by 4/100ths of a second, and Johnny Gray by 31/100ths of a second. The award ceremony takes place. William Tanui stands on the top step, joining a legendary list of Kenyan middle distance runners.